We are back, and the next thing I want to do is add some sound effects to our gate so it's not perfectly silent and kind of creepy. Now, this will cause our Kismet network to become a little bit more complex. So if you're not yet used to placing expression nodes inside of Kismet and connecting them up, don't worry. I'm going to go a step at a time, and this should be real easy to follow. So let's jump into Kismet by clicking the Open Unreal Kismet button in the main toolbar. And what we need is the ability to play back some kind of a sound effect. So I'm just going to pick a blank space here inside of Kismet, right-click, and choose New Action. And we'll come down to Sound. And here is a Play Sound Expression. All this does is this takes in a sound cue, and it will play it when it receives an input into the Play input area. Very, very easy. Now let's find the sounds that we're going to use. So I'm going to open up the content browser. And let's do a search here. I'm going to click All Assets and make sure my search line is clear. Let me go and expand this out a little bit. I'm going to search for the word door, and then I'm going to check the Sound Cues button. And there are 4 separate sounds here. We have Door Metal 03, Close Start Cue, Close Stop Cue, Open Start Cue, and Open Stop Cue. So what these are sounds that will play when a door is starting to open, then when it's fully open, kind of when it slams to its open position, then another sound when it starts to close, and a 4th sound when it reaches its closed position. And if you'd like, you can double click on any one of these and hear the sound itself. So there we go. Now I want to make use of all 4 of these. So let's start off with our Open Start Cue, and I'm just going to close out the content browser for now. I'm going to click on our Play Sound node here inside of Kismet, and if we take a look, there is a Play Sound property which is listening out for some sort of a sound cue. With our sound cue selected in the content browser, we can click on the little green arrow for Use Selected Object in Content Browser, and now we're ready to go. There's just a couple of more steps. One is, of course, to connect something to our play input. The second is to give the sound some sort of attenuation point. We can take this sound effect and actually position it in 3D space, meaning that as the player maybe runs past the door, they can hear that sound move behind them if they have full surround, or if it's even in just its stereo. As they turn their head, they would hear the sound of that door opening past maybe from left channel to right channel. To do this, all we need to do is specify a target object that is in our level from which the sound can be played. We already have the perfect object, which is the gate itself, actually connected into our matinee. We have a couple of options here. We could just drag the little target input at the bottom of our play sound right into our interpactor, or if that starts to get a little bit complicated and you don't want to see a whole bunch of wires running around everywhere, we could select our interpactor variable, hit Control-C, and then Control-V to copy and paste it. And there's no problem with doing this. It doesn't cost like any extra calculation. We can just connect to a separate copy of it if that looks a little neater to you. Now, what I'm going to do is take the touched of our trigger and plug that into play. With just that done, let's give this a try. So I'm going to close out Kismet, right-click on the floor and choose Play from here. And as I run up to the gate, we get a sound. But that's the only sound we get. So let's add a couple more of our other sounds in. I'm going to open Kismet back up, and this is the sound that plays when the door opens. However, just by glancing at it here inside of Kismet, it's not immediately obvious what sound is being played. So what I'm going to do is select our Play Sound expression, come down to the Properties window, and down inside of Object Comment, I'm going to click. We can add any comment we like. We're going to call this Door Opening Sound, and press Enter. Now take a look here in Kismet. We actually get a nice little comment telling us exactly what that sound is doing. Excellent. Now I'm going to select both of these nodes, the play sound and the little interpactor variable connected to it. I'm going to hit Control-C and Control-V. Now holding down Control, I'm going to slide these so that they're just beneath the originals. Now we need to set up our second sound effect. So check this out. I'm going to click on our new play sound. Let's first take our object comment, and we're going to change this from door opening sound to door opened sound. Or you could say open complete if you want, but I think that'll work. Now, our play sound property is currently storing the exact same sound cue as our opening sound. So I'm going to click this little magnifying glass button, which is Find Object in Content Browser. And there it is. We're going to switch this to Open Stop Cue, close out the content browser, and click the little green arrow to now use that instead. Cool, so now we're all set up. The last thing we need is to figure out what exactly will trigger this. Well, our door is opening. When the Matinee system is done opening the door, it's going to fire something out of the completed output. So let's take completed, and we'll plug that into play. Now let's test this out. So I'll right-click here on the floor, choose play from here. Door opens, and it closes. So that actually took place right on top of each other because I cleared the trigger really fast. Let's slow it down a little. And there you go. So you can actually hear the playback of the door. As soon as it reaches its open position, we get a second sound effect. All right, we're almost done. Let's go ahead and add our closing sounds as well. I'm going to grab our door opening sound and its little associated actor. We'll hit Control-C, Control-V again. And I'm going to slide this guy over here and change his object comment first thing. So we'll select him, come down to opening sound. We're going to change opening to closing. And then just to be on the kind of expedient side, let's grab both of these again, and let's just hit Control-V because we've already got it in the clipboard, so we can just paste it again. And this time I'll take our object comment and change opening to closed. And let's put a little space in there. Now let's swap out our sound effects. So I'll start off with closing sound and come down to play sound, click our magnifying glass button, and we're going to choose close start cue. Close out the content browser and click our Use Selected Object in Content Browser button. Now let's grab our door close sound, click the magnifying glass yet again, and we'll choose our close stop sound effect, and then use that here in this sound. So now we've got our closing and then fully closed sound. Now our closing is going to be triggered from our reversed. Actually, that's not true. Excuse me. Our closing is going to be fired off from our untouched. As soon as we lose contact with our trigger's contact radius, then our door is immediately going to start to close. As soon as that happens, we want our closing sound effect to play. So I'm going to go all the way from the untouched of our trigger and plug this into the play. And you see how this starts to make our network a little more complicated because we have wires kind of overlapping everything. As soon as playback is completed for playing the animation backwards, the reversed output will be fired off. So we're going to take that and plug that into the door close sound. Now with that, let's go ahead and test this out. I'll right click on the floor, choose play from here, and now let's clear the trigger. We have opening and closing sound effects. So there we go. Our sound effects are done. Now I am getting some rebuild lighting and viewport warnings when I play here inside the editor. So what I'm going to do is end this video. Be sure to save your level, and then off camera I'm actually going to do a lighting rebuild so we don't get those errors anymore. But that will wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.